After trying the Bloom sparkling energy drinks before its official launch last year and getting a better sense of the overall go-to-market strategy, I provided a very rare public statement on a beverage within the pre-launch phase of the commercialization cycle. And for those that might think I'm capping, you can ask AI to analyze thousands of my short and long form content pieces over the last decade. Yet it would only find one other occasion where I declared pre-launch that massive success was guaranteed for an energy drink. But just like Ghost Energy a handful of years earlier, something felt special about Bloom Sparkling Energy, even as most beverage industry pundits questioned the extension strategy by the Greens supplement company. And within our conversation, Bloom Nutrition co-founder and CEO Greg LaVecchia explained just how insanely successful that initial year has been surrounding those Bloom Sparkling Energy drinks. Also, we discuss how, with the help from the Nutrabolt and KDP strategic partnerships, the brand is building on those breakout wins in the beverage category by launching Bloom Pop, its answer to what fans feel the modern soda category is missing. But before jumping into those interesting conversations and many more, I wanted to quickly provide some additional context. For anyone watching the video version of this podcast episode, you might notice the background is different, and that's because it was captured on site at the Beverage Forum. I was involved again in the new era of this prestigious gathering of beverage industry executives, but this time focused on helping them launch a new podcast called Poor Decisions. So do me a huge favor and follow the Poor Decisions Radio handle across all social media platforms, as the podcast will feature weekly episodes unpacking the untold stories behind the world's most iconic and emerging beverage brands. Also, an extra special thanks to Cognizant for not only being the title sponsor of the Beverage Forum 2025, but also supporting this awesome piece of content. Whether you are a professional like me seeking cognitive performance or an individual focused on maintaining mental sharpness, Cognizant resonates with everyone striving for brain health. As the gold standard for acetylcholine, Cognizant is not just about supporting memory, it's about embracing life to the fullest. Learn more at the link in the description. But without further delay, here is the recent conversation I had with my good friend, Greg LaVecchia.
The amount of things they've caught on here that people just have no idea. They're just over here just like talking shit about somebody.
There should be a big on-air sign.
Like, this is hot, you guys. I'm just going to cut up all like the little like outros of just like people just talking shit about their competitors. That's like,
dude, it's funny, man, because like generally I'm used to talking to just the team. I'm not ever in these public scenarios like this, and you know I get a little toxically competitive when I'm talking about our brand versus the others. A rising tide lifts all ships. Don't get me wrong, but like I like to compete.
Yeah.
But like in this scenario, it's such a great like aspect of or element of community to talk about our brand and not compare it to others has been very difficult.
Yes.
But maybe that means I'm an asshole. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, like, I think just that act of like wanting to compete, like, I think there's a lot of people here that are way too like collegial. Like I love that everybody wants to help everybody, but they're also don't have that like killer instinct where like you have a killer instinct. Like you want to, I remember when we were talking about the energy drink, you're like, I want to be the #1 energy drink. Like, and then like when you're saying it, I believed it. It wasn't like, oh, this guy's just blowing smoke up my ass. Like I was like, I have a feeling he's going to aggressively do what he needs to do to make this happen, which in the energy drink world, like the guys that are up there at the top, like they are tough. Like these guys aren't messing around.
If you're a P&L guy or gal, it's a little bit of a scarier business than operating a nutrition business, but thankfully, I'm not that. I just check the rankings every week or month and see what the ranking is at Walmart and Target, and I just try to climb it like a ladder. So that tactic has been working thus far. Supposedly, we're profitable. Our president of Bloom keeps telling me that, and Dos Cunningham very much is a P&L guy, so he keeps me in check. And so I'll ask for all the ammunition I need, and someone will hopefully give me close to an approval. But
I saw the on the KDP earnings call, they called you out about just how I think, you know, even with the wildest expectations, like I think you guys have exceeded those. Like, and I think, did you guys hit a point of share? I think
that's a good question. I don't know our point of share, but I will say that.
Which if it was a point or a half, whatever it was, like within the short amount of time that you've been in market, like absurd. Like it's one of those, like, I know that I don't want to stroke my own like ego or whatever, but like there's a few. Before you launched that, I said this is going to be one of those stories that people are going to look back on after a year and go like, that's the outlier. That's the like,
Dude,
this doesn't happen.
That's why everyone loves your content, because you can recognize that. I think everyone saw Bloom as a greens brand, and I'm like, no, we've been marketing Bloom this whole time. So if you look at like the last, all right, let's just bring up a competitor, like a Culture Pop of the world. They're obviously a better for you soda competitor. They raised like 15 million a couple weeks ago, and it's like, damn, like Bloom as a brand over the last 6 years cumulatively has spent 150 million plus on influencer marketing, which, by the way, at the value that would cost today on a CPM basis is like easily double that. So if you really wanted to compete with us in a beverage, whether it's energy or soda space, you need 300 million. Who's going to raise 300 million? And so it's like that's really what you're going up against, is like the snowball of the last 6 years of branding.
Yeah.
Which is now that Bloom brand going onto these cans. And so it's not like the out of the gate numbers are a little, I don't want to call them artificial because they're very real, but the fact that we're going to do 150 million in our first year, it's because of the last 6 years of work. It's not like a launch overnight success story.
Yes.
When you actually look into when you turn the pages of the story.
Yeah, because I mean, people.
But you recognize that is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I think you've done a really good job recently of like calling back some of like this, like telling people this didn't start yesterday. I mean, this has been a long haul.
Yeah.
We started from this, you know, we went to this co-man. We did, everybody, we know the story. Me and you, we know the story, and it's like, but I think a lot of people miss it. You're the overnight success, which I think in beverage that ends up happening, but even worse or I guess bigger of a unknown is that when you come from nutrition and then you move into beverage, like it's still this dark world where a lot of these guys either they don't pay attention or they don't respect it or they don't, which is a mistake, obviously. You know, like I think if they haven't learned over the last 5 years, they're not, when are they going to learn? Because you guys are just eating their lunch. Yeah,
and I think there's like, you're just reminding me of a topic that I've been talking about a bit with my team, is like there's this toxic element of the CPG community where people are trying to play God and reverse engineer a business for a strategic exit. And so back when I wanted, or when our team wanted to make a beverage with the Bloom brand, and at the same time I was running our first process, because we were bootstrapped up to like 180 million, but then we did a process, of course, Das Cunningham and Clayton Christopher, they jumped in and have been huge strategic minority partners. But no one would, I mean, the fireside chats, we talked to every investors, and everyone was like really excited about the idea, but they're like, why would you make a beverage? No one buys beverage companies. And that's, you know, funny to say now, because obviously like 4 of them just got bought.
Yeah.
But, you know, in the 2024 era, it was years before a beverage company got bought. So like no one wanted to invest in Bloom and make a beverage with us, but Das Cunningham understood like the size of this TAM and you know, knew that we were building something bigger here, and he jumped in as a player. But it was very little. I mean, the Nestle's of the world, the Unilevers of the world, those big strategic exits that like you would have seen for a greens product, they would have no interest in a beverage. And so I don't know. I think people who play this game and they're trying to create this end exit opportunity, like that, you can't have that in the back of your mind with almost any of your decision making.
Yeah, you guys are just going day by day authentically.
Yeah, just trying to build something fucking sick.
Yeah, like we want to just have some fun and just like build cool shit, which I think moves into like the Bloom Pop. Like, because I think honestly, that's another product that maybe wouldn't be the first thing that people would think. You know what I mean? You already mentioned greens was what people would thought. Oh, he's going to RTD a greens. He's going to figure that out, or he's going to do that. And then you go energy, which didn't make sense to a lot of people, and then maybe the pop, even less. Like they're like, "What? Like, what's going on?"
You know, I think first of all, I'm trying to take swings in my career now, where we took the swing on energy, and it feels like I'm having this weird career opportunity, or very unique career opportunity, where I'm able to do it again 12 months later with this soda. So it's like I know what worked 12 months ago, and I know what didn't really work 12 months ago, and now I have even more money, and I can apply that to this soda launch. And I just feel like this is a crazy thing to not do. Obviously, who do I think I am that I can have an energy drink and a soda and a nutrition business and still compete with the big dogs? Red Bull only has an energy drink. Celsius only has an energy drink. And it's, you know, hundreds of people in a fancy boardroom trying to take this down. So it's like, who do I think I am that I can have these other businesses? And I get that. But I also think that, like, if just screw all those rules. We know what works. Let's apply it to the soda space. People are looking for a different version. I won't even say better. I'll be nice. A different version from Poppy and Olipop, and that's what we're going to give it to the market. And what's really cool is as we launch the soda, I think you'll see our cross merchandising in the retailers super unique. Not only with the two beverages, which is generally easier just because it's the same buyer at the store, but also with our nutrition products, especially like this resolution season, you'll see a One World Bloom opening up in several retailers around the country, which will be like all these better for you products for generally the female consumer, but whatever consumers walking through the doors, you know?
You know what I thought about when you were talking about launching the pop, and you kind of mentioned like, who do you think you are? I think a lot of it is like when you're this like on fire, like I'm thinking about NBA Jam when you're like shooting and you're like he's on fire, and you sometimes you have to heat check. You're like, you know what, I just have to keep shooting. Like let's try a bigger idea. Let's shoot from half court. Let's shoot from full court. Let's just see what happens. Like
keep
how
trying
hot
things
am
until
I?
it
Like
breaks.
I don't know. Like I might be underselling myself. I think that I'm crushing it, but like I'm actually like holding myself back because there's ideas that are even crazier and bigger or whatever that is. But like it is wild to think about competing against these big. I mean, your Red Bull, Monster, massive. But then even when you move into, you know, we're talking Coke, Pepsi, you know, that's even wilder type of a situation. But like you have the mentality of like, okay, I'm going to play within the rules of these kind of establishment and wherever. But I have a couple tricks up my sleeve, like we talked about with like the merchandising ideas and the way that you kind of look at things from a billboard perspective and like how do I think about the brand and how do I build out the platform and like a lot of these guys, like because they're centrally focused, I don't think they think like that. I mean, PepsiCo maybe across, merchandise some of their snacks and beverages and things like that. But like, I think within our world of like the nutrition kind of product, really, like there isn't that modern brand that's able to do that. And I think it's attractive to, you know, consumers are walking into Target or whatever that is. They're looking at this and going like, wow, I want to be a part of this brand.
Yeah. I'm glad you recognize that. We're definitely trying to do that. And, I don't know. Let's see if we pull it off. We'll hopefully the soda launch doesn't make everything crumble and it just creates one giant volcano eruption of success. But if not, it's been a great journey. But yeah, we're really excited. Soda this summer, energy's out of control. I mean, it's getting easier to not find it than to find it. We're in so many doors at this point. We're about to start rolling out like the C stores of the world. We have a 7-Eleven test happening in May. KDP, of course, has been like a huge distribution partner for the product.
Is it fully integrated into their whole planning process and across, within that? So at this point, they're helping kind of like get, okay.
I mean, we were just in Bentonville, Cincinnati, Minneapolis doing the road shows.
You did a whole, like, I was like the road show, but in a
Dude,
PJ,
you know. Oh,
yeah, it's like you're not. You need to get the Hummer out there and just like actually hit the miles.
Yeah, people like to make fun of me because they're like, yeah, we get it. Like you're flying the private jet. I'm going.
No, but you're not.
I'm going to Arkansas and Cincinnati. I'm not going on vacation. We're just trying to do time travel to grow this business fast enough.
You know, when you're creating the amount of commercial value you're creating, like that time,
it's crucial.
Yes, you're not doing it because you're trying to be flashy. You're doing it because this is a time efficiency thing. This is something that you're trying to actually pack in as much as possible because you are on fire. Like why not? Like
every day
time.
counts. Yeah, and we're saying yes to as much as reasonably possible, and we're trying to maintain this momentum. And the snowball just seems to keep on growing faster and faster. And what's also just that was a little over a month before like the proper line reviews at these retailers, and everyone was like, why are you already going to these retailers? But any advice I could give it to other brands is like, meet with these buyers or their VPs or people under them, the associates, whoever you're meeting with, as often as possible, and definitely well before your line reviews. Back when we were in school, I graduated with a 2.4, so what's my advice? But if you can show your teacher the essay a week before it's due and ask for their advice before you submit the project, before you submit the essay, why wouldn't you do that? So it's like we go to the retailers well before the line review. We ask, hey, this is what we're working with. What do you think? And KDP's in those rooms as well doing their thing. And, they give us advice on what we're working with. And then I'm able to go back, do some homework for a month, make some tweaks, and then come back to the line review with exactly what they want to see. And, obviously I haven't got into the last part of that equation, but I think it's going to be a big success, and I think everyone's going to feel like the products rolling out in the next 18 months are like, oh, a lot of thought went into these. And
I think there's you mentioned about why they only show up at those certain times, because I think a lot of these companies think about this in a very transactional way. Like
Yes.
I have to show up to sell my stuff, and
Yes.
then I come back in the 6 months or
Yeah.
a year from now, and that's what I do. Instead of, you're looking at this as partnership, collaboration. Like, how can we
Absolutely.
both create wins here? Is there something that blends in with my vision, my conviction for what I'm already doing? Like,
Yep.
can we somehow make this a middle ground where, like, I'm not losing my sense of self or my brand, but I'm helping you guys achieve what you're looking for? Because they
Very
see
well said.
everything from their categories. They're seeing the evolutions. They're seeing their customers. They have mounds and mounds of data and
They do.
and insights that they rarely tell us about how much they have, but they know a lot more than they probably put off a lot of times. So you going to them and asking these things, like, it's actually a cheat code in a lot of senses, because
Huge.
you actually are just going in there and saying, hey, let me know what you think. Let's I'm not trying to sell you anything right now. I'm
Yeah.
trying to just tell you what the cool shit we're working on.
And first of all, let's be clear. Like, when you go to Walmart, when you go to Target, you can't even buy these guys a coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the world of bribing a buyer, let alone buying them a
Yeah.
coffee, is
Yeah.
I assume that was before my career. I've heard
Yes.
some fun
Yeah.
stories. I wish I was in the '90s, but I'm not. And because reminder, I'm just 30 years old here. I got no idea what I'm doing. But I go to the retailers, and it's like, there's still an element of an emotional decision that's happening there, and those buyers want to take a risk on a product that they trust and they helped create, and it's that level of partnership, but also, like, they want to take that bet on that product that they helped create, and I think that goes a really long way in their level of partnership on the shelf.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't. They see the buyers as transactional, potentially evil person,
Yes.
and they're not. I mean, especially at some of these top retailers, they're incredible. Sometimes I wish I could hire them. Like, they're so talented at the big retailers in the world, and I've gotten very close with a few of them. So yeah, visit your retailers. So give your teacher an apple on their desk.
There's my 2.4 GPA advice for everybody.
Yeah, seriously.
Second advice, just whatever. Don't even create supplement brands in your projects for your school projects, and then
Truly.
Visualize it. Start to embody it before it was ever
Absolutely.
something. This was all, in your mind long before it ever became
This
a
is
thing.
all I ever wanted to do. This is the only thing that ever made sense.
Yeah. Greg,
Yeah.
appreciate the time. Thank
Dude,
you.
This is sweet. This is crazy what you got going on.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
This is kind of wild.
But I hope you enjoyed the first principles thinking that went into my latest YouTube video. If you did, can you do me a favor by hitting that like button? That quick and free action helps YouTube know my content is worth spreading to more people. Also, we're getting really close to reaching my next subscriber goal, and it would be great if you join me on this journey. But to do that, we need to fix the fact that slightly more than 3/4 of you that are watching this video right now are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, and that hurts my feelings. Regardless, I want to thank you for giving me some of your attention and time, and I'll see you on the next one.